Go for it.
All right, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Maybe Next Time.
I am your host, William, with my co-host, Simon McCormack.
Nets Nation, is it getting cold? Because I feel a draft.
We are back as we are each and every unrelenting week to bring you all things Nets Nation, and in what has become an annual tradition, the week before the draft, we are bringing back draft guru, draft insider, his first ever big board going on, James Kelly. James?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good to have you.
Great to have you. We like bringing you on for a number of reasons, but one big one for the draft is that Simon and I know practically nothing at all about the draft.
That's totally cool. That's pretty normal. I mean, the draft is one of my passions. I love the draft, as you remember from last year with my Cam Johnson takes.
Hey,
looking pretty good.
That is
looking pretty good.
He was clowned relentlessly when the Suns took him at 10 or whatever last year, and now he's pretty much locked in as like a long-term starter for that team.
Oh, absolutely! It was obvious. He was a 45% three-point shooter. He was 6'9". It was just clear.
Right.
There's no doubt in my mind.
And who was his teammate? Was it like Kobe White or something like that? Who, when they drafted him, he had like that visible reaction where he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, because it was wild. I was shocked. We were there. I was like shocked and just horribly disappointed. I haven't been that disappointed since, honestly, because I really thought he was going to drop to the Nets. I thought the Nets were going to trade up. I just had this whole fantasy in my head of us moving up to like 19, which is the pick we had this year,
right? And
then grabbing him. But again, he went 11th, and that was the end of the story. I mean, I was validated.
Yeah, you're validated. Then that's why we bring you on, because you hit on sleepers like that. Another guy, I remember you were really high on, Kevin Porter Jr. Who honestly, I don't watch a ton of Cleveland Cavaliers basketball, but from what I hear, he's probably the most promising of their young guys, and they have 2 lottery picks on that team too.
Yeah, I'd say he's better than Garland. Yeah. But Sexton is still very good. He's just, he's not a point guard. He's just the size of a point guard.
Right. Is he the one? He's like extremely fast. He's like De'Aaron Fox level fast, right?
Yeah, he is. He's pretty fast. He's not that fast. There's a guy in this draft who's that fast, though.
Oh,
and I'm excited about him too.
Okay, yeah. Let's not spoil it. Any other takes from last year that you're particularly proud of, and that would convince listeners that you truly are the draft guru?
I was talking about LeGant Dort at 27.
Oh shit!
Me too. I saw him.
You were huge on LeGant Dort.
Oh my god, that guy! I just to see him is to know him. I can't believe he didn't get drafted.
It was ridiculous. It's like, what are these front offices doing that he doesn't get drafted of all people? And Duncan Robinson as well. It's just it doesn't make sense, because Duncan Robinson, he went off in the championship game on national television. Everyone watched him rain like 7 threes in that game, and he still didn't get drafted.
I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
I mean, honestly, coaching staffs have spent entire seasons trying to scheme up a way to stop James Harden, and the Thunder, all they had to do was put undrafted rookie Luang Dort on him, and they completely shut him. I mean, not completely shut him down, but did a better job than pretty much any other defense against him has ever done.
Absolutely.
All right, those are three pretty big achievements from last year.
I did have a miss, though. I did have a miss. PJ Washington.
What, you don't?
That's a miss? Come on, people are hot on him.
Oh yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of him. I thought that he was going to be sort of meh.
I liked PJ Washington.
I didn't like him in the lottery. I liked him in like the 20s.
And now he's arguably Charlotte's best player. I mean, that's an incredibly low bar, but
it is. He's competing with the likes of Cody Zeller and Malik Monk
and Nicholas Batum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's not a very good team. I hope they trade for Russell Westbrook, though.
I actually like Russell Westbrook for them because if they can get Russell Westbrook and move up to get James Wiseman, it's a little bit of an interesting core right there in Charlotte for the next 2 years before Russell Westbrook drops off.
The Nets would need to be worried about making the playoffs if that happens.
No, I think the Hornets would need to be worried about making the playoffs if that happens. But still.
No, that is tantalizing. Okay, so this draft episode, we are obviously we're not going to go through your full big board, though. We hope to hear.
I only did 30 guys.
We hope to hear much of it, but we're gonna focus on Nets and Nets adjacent players. I have about 1 million questions for you about this because again, I haven't done the research. You have, but before we get into individual players, do you think? And Simon, you can answer this after James as well. Do you think the Nets are going to keep the 19th pick?
I don't know. I value the 19th pick this year. I think there's a lot of good value there at 19. But I also think that there's a big chance that we move up by trading Jared Allen or Spencer Dinwiddie, one or the other. There's a couple scenarios that I think are very possible for that to happen. And I also think it's possible that we just, again, trade it and dump it and use it to maybe upgrade Torian Prince or upgrade Spencer Dinwiddie.
What do you think about this? The Spencer tweets that sort of suggest he's out of here.
I think that there might be something that's like already decided, and we just don't know about it.
I think Simon and I agree with that. Isn't that right, Simon?
Yes, I would be shocked if he is on this team next week.
Yeah, I know that in a couple Windhorse podcasts ago, he had said explicitly, like, he knows of at least one deal that's already done. And then Spencer has been putting those tweets out, and some nagging feeling inside of me is just like, that is the Spencer deal. Like, Spencer is somewhere else.
Absolutely. And I mean, he's a 6'6" point guard. He's an expiring contract, and he definitely has incredible value around the league. There's no doubt in my mind that teams want him. I bet you can get more value for Spencer Dinwiddie than Russell Westbrook at this point.
Oh, totally. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's not as good, but he's more valuable because you're not taking on whatever Russell's thing is, like $89 million in 2 seasons or something like that.
Spencer Dinwiddie makes $30 million less next year than Russell Westbrook.
That's amazing. And Simon, what do you think?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Simon, do you think we're keeping the 19th?
No, I think that is going to be a sweetener for a Torian Prince dump.
Ooh, that's cynical, my friend.
I strongly disagree. I don't think that's happening at all.
Okay.
I don't think that's happening at all. I
like the idea that they're moving up.
I think there's a lot of guys in this draft that I would move up for.
Okay.
Particularly, let's save it.
I can't wait, but before we get into details, I just have a couple more annoying questions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, Nets are drafting. Let's say they're drafting in the first round. It might be 19th. It might be moving up somewhere in the first round. Do you think that they should be drafting for fit? Do you think they should be drafting best available, a guy who can play now, or a development guy?
I think it depends. If you're moving up, I want you to take. It has to be fit. You know, if you're moving up, you're going for a guy that's going to contribute in these championship runs that are coming up. But if you stick at 19, there's like a couple of swing for the fences picks of that 19, such as Pokusevski or Jaden McDaniels, where you could really just go for the future and try to build up that next era. And maybe he comes in 3 years from now and is an impact player.
Okay, you said it. Pokusevski? Is that the pronunciation?
Pokusevski? I think so.
Okay. Yeah. 7'1", right? 7'1", 7'3" wingspan. He plays somewhere in Europe, right?
He plays in Greece.
Lovely Greece. Okay. Weighs I don't know, less than at least 2 people on this call.
Absolutely.
What do you see as the Pokashevsky upside?
I mean, what can't you see is the Pokashevsky upside? Like the upside is a superstar. Okay, I can't state that enough, but like the upside is a guy who is 7'1", genuinely coming off screens like Joe Harris, creating in the fast break, beautiful passer, capable of creating his own shot blocker, lateral quickness, just a do it all big if he puts it all together. But that's a huge if, because again, he's like, like Giannis, he's playing against guys that sell milk in the day, and so it's just you don't know what's going on there, and that's why he's the biggest boomer bust prospect. And I think, it's obvious when you watch him.
Are you concerned about his sickly child arms?
What?
They are the smallest childlike arms I've ever seen on any kind of basketball player that is being talked about getting drafted.
Everything about him excites me and concerns me. It's like,
the most tantalizing form of excitement, one that also terrifies. He's the sublime.
I would swing for him at 19, but I wouldn't trade up for him. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't give up someone that I know is a good basketball player for him.
Got it.
But you think there's a chance he falls to 19?
Pokashevsky?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of teams that are ahead of us that I think are liable to just go for it.
Right.
Like Boston, like Dallas, maybe even Orlando, Sacramento. Sacramento is always up to something. I don't think he lasts.
Simon, so it sounds like your take on his arms has you kind of out on the Serbian 7-footer.
Well, I've got a bad taste in my mouth about the Euro kids. Like Musa has never been good, and there's never been a time where I thought he could possibly be good. Rhodey, though he was perfectly fine, he was pretty decent in the bubble, had an off year. I just feel like so often with the Euro players, they just are a bust. And yes, his physique is extremely worrying to me. I understand you would not be drafting him to be immediately impactful, but it just is worrying to me.
Fair enough. Okay, so to start on people connected with the Nets, James, we're going to go with the Athletics' Alex Schiffer's 5 guys who are closely connected with the Nets. I'd like your take on each of these guys. Tell us if you think there's a chance the Nets could get him, if they should get him, etc.
Okay.
All right. First one, we've mentioned him. Saddiq Bey, 6'8", forward from Villanova. He's a man of God. I was reading a profile about him recently. He apparently very into the Joker soundtrack. And
really, I love the Joker soundtrack.
And Frank Sinatra. That's what he listens to pregame.
I love the Joker soundtrack. That's life. I play that like once a week at least.
Okay, all right. So you and Saddiq Bey, you have some sort of connection there. What do you think? Is there a chance we get him at 19? Should we get him at 19? He can shoot the 3 ball.
Oh yeah, he can shoot the 3 ball. His shot's a little wonky though. It's really low, and it's really sort of like a push shot that extends out like in front of his body. So I could see it becoming an issue in the NBA. But he has like real size for the wing. He's kind of a do-it-all wing. He's a really, really good defender. He's capable of creating his own shot. He's capable of passing. He's versatile. He can guard 1 to 4. He can shoot it. He's a monster. I don't think that there's any chance that we get him. I don't think there's any chance that Orlando gets him at 15.
Right.
I think he's guaranteed to go in the top 12, in my opinion. I have him ranked 10.
You have him ranked 10 on your big board. Okay, yeah, that would be nice too. Just you could mention where you have these guys on yours. From everything I've read, he seems sort of like the quintessential guy teams are looking for right now, like a big, lanky 3-and-D wing.
Yeah, but see, that's there's more than that because he is such a good shooter. He is so good at creating his own shot that you can really look at him and imagine a star there.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think he's going to go high. And I wouldn't be surprised if he went in the top 10. I really wouldn't be surprised.
Right, and he's, I mean, you know, it was a pretty favorable profile that I read, but it seemed like he's, you know, a guy who works really hard, has always been sort of overlooked, and has, you know, but has like put the work in to get where he's at. So
absolutely,
very intriguing.
And he's from Villanova.
And he's Villanova,
and those guys are good.
Those guys tend to be
Very
pretty good in the
consistent
pros. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one, and this is sort of the opposite on a character level. I mean, I don't know anything about these guys. This guy might be an incredible human being. I don't know, but he is rumored to be a little bit of a diva. R.J. Hampton of the New Zealand Breakers, 6'5" guard, coming out of high school. He was like one of the top few prospects, right? Mm-hmm. And has fallen pretty significantly, but is getting a lot of. I don't know, a lot of rumors about him potentially coming to the Nets. What's your take on R.J. Hampton?
I'm also a big fan of R.J. Hampton. He's gonna take a little time though. He's like Dinwiddie, you know. He's literally that's the best comp for him because he's a 6'5", 6'6" guard. He's lightning quick with the ball. He really can get up there and like dunk and finish. I'm a huge fan of him. I just don't know if he's a playmaker yet. So he's going to have to come into the league, and he's going to have to work on his shot. He's going to have to work on his decision making, his playmaking. But the athletic tools are there. The ball handling is there. The explosion is there. I'm a big fan of him. I have him ranked right now. I have him 14th on my list.
Ooh.
And I think that he could go higher. He's another guy that could go higher because he's, you know, people love big guards, and he's definitely a big guard. And he just has to work on his shot. And if he can hit jump shots like at a Spencer Dinwiddie level,
right?
which is that high,
no, it's not great. No.
Which is a really low bar. Suddenly he becomes very, very dangerous three level scorer, and I'm a fan. I'd love it if he was on the Nets. I'd trade Spencer Dinwiddie in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'm extremely intrigued by R.J. Hampton. Simon, are you in on the New Zealand breaker, R.J. Hampton?
I would be fine with him, but there are people who I like much more. I worry that from the things that I read about him that he could quickly become a just empty calorie kind of a Musa. I understand he's more athletic, but just a guy who you're like, yeah, he can kind of score, but he in the NBA is not an efficient scorer, and he's not going to do anything else. And you'd have to, yeah, like you said, you're taking a big bet on his shooting. I don't know. I'm lukewarm.
There's definitely question marks. I don't want him as my like primary decision maker at this point. He needs to prove that first. And also I don't really trust his shooting, but I just think he's going to be so good at just taking it to the rack and finishing that and at his height and with his ball handling ability, I'd take the risk. You know, Dinwiddie wasn't the best in college either. And so I see it with him. I've definitely seen an NBA player there.
Yeah, I know virtually nothing about him other than that he was a super high prospect coming out of high school, which always just tantalizes me.
He was, and then he decided to go to play in Australia so he could get paid because, you know, the NCAA doesn't pay their players.
Not officially, so, yeah.
Yeah, not officially, but according to James Wiseman, they do. But yeah, so he went there and he sort of stunk it up down in Australia.
Yeah, didn't have a great year.
No, but he was playing against grown men in an established league, and his jump shot is a little wonky. But I've heard it's gotten better. That's the rumor on the street.
Okay. So. I'm in on R.J. Hampton. Next guy, 6'3" guard from North Carolina, had a massively disappointing season in college. Point guard Cole Anthony. Where is he on your big board?
He's 23rd on my big board.
Okay.
So I'm not a huge fan. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 point guards over him.
Wow.
On my big board.
Okay.
Yeah. But I also can see it with him because he was in such a terrible situation there. Like if you look at it, it looks like they're playing like the way that his teammates were spread out on the floor looks like the NBA in the 1980s. Just like 2 guys trying to post up at the same time. The shooting guard is spacing it at the elbow near the free throw line.
Right.
And he's just trying to drive into this just massive clump of people and finish it. And so that resulted in like a lot of just terrible shooting percentages. So maybe in the NBA with more space, he'll be better.
Right.
And I can see it. I can see it. I would move. You could talk me into moving him up on my board. I really think this draft has a lot of depth from like 10 to 25. Personally,
he was a stud before college, right? He was like one of the top 3 or 4 guys out of high school.
Yeah, like he was like if you looked at a mock draft from last September, right? That was pre-COVID. That's when things happened. Okay, last September. Last September, he would be in the top 5.
So what about like Tyrell Terry? Is he ahead?
Yeah, I have Terry at 16 because Terry is going to come in the NBA and he's going to have a skill immediately, and that's so valuable. He's going to be able to come off screens. He's going to be able to run the pick and roll, and then when you have a shot like that, that's just like smooth. And he's a real shooter because he shoots like 90% from free throw line, 40% from 3 on high volume. When you have a shot like that, people have to respect you. And so he's going to be able to drive it because people are going to bite at his pump fakes. They're going to be playing really high up on him. He's going to be able to run the pick and roll efficiently because opposing bigs are going to have to jump out on him and hedge. He's going to come in, and I think he's going to be effective right away with the ceiling as well.
Do you think he's going to last?
What do you mean?
To 19?
To 19? Yeah, I think there's a chance. There's a higher chance of him lasting the 9s, much higher than Bay. Because of the issue with this year is that the point guard depth is really good in the draft, and the point guard depth in the NBA is really good as well. Both
James.
That they want to run already. So
you're cutting out for a second.
Oops. Where did you lose me?
Their point guard depth in the NBA is very good.
Oh yeah, the point guard depth in the NBA is also really good. So that's the scenario where he drops, is that there's just too many teams that are above Brooklyn that have a point guard that they love, and they just don't want to use a lottery pick, which is there's only 3 picks in between us and the lottery, or 4 picks in between us and the lottery, and they don't want to use a lottery pick on a backup. So you're not going to see. So he might drop. But also we have Dallas right ahead of us, and Dallas is one of the teams that does need a point guard. So unless Pokusevski is still there,
right?
Yeah.
So that does beg the question: do the Nets need another point guard?
Maybe if that Dinwiddie rumor is true, that Dinwiddie stuff is true.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
I like him a lot. I don't know if he's the best fit for the Nets, but he would be if Dinwiddie is traded. He would be a good fit.
All right, I'm going to go to the next guy. He's a bigger boy, Jalen Smith, 6'10" forward, out of Maryland. Who wants it? Who needs it? Where is he at on your board?
I do. He's 12th on my board.
Holy crap.
I love me some sticks, okay? I love
Simon loves that nickname.
It's a worrying nickname for me, James. Can you assuage the worries about his stick legs?
So his legs aren't that skinny. It's not that I wouldn't say that his legs are freakishly skinny, but he does have like a very high center of gravity. So he's one of those guys, he's like Giannis, he has long legs and a short torso. But then his torso is also like really his shoulders are so wide. He has like a true like NBA center frame. And so, but with like these really long legs. And so that's where he gets like the sticks nickname. But he can shoot it like really well. He shot like 38% from the college three-point line, if I understand it. He's a lob catcher like Jared Allen. He's a legitimate shot blocker. And again, he has that NBA frame where you can realistically look at him and imagine him putting on even more weight and becoming one of those true, like, the modern unicorn where you can roll to the rim and you can pop out and you can block shots and switch a little bit on defense. I'm a huge, huge Jalen Smith fan, and I don't think he gets past New Orleans at 13.
Simon, it sounds like you're a little more skeptical of the stick.
He's up there actually for me. I was worried about like he's kind of the opposite, right, James, of some of the people we've talked about who you can see who have like raw athleticism, have raw talent, that like if they can put some things together, they could be good. He seems like he has like things like he's a good shooter. He had like good block numbers. This is like the person we've talked about so far that has like the best raw numbers. Like average like 11 rebounds and whatever. Like he's actually done stuff that you can like quantify and see, but he's not very athletic. He may have like a low ceiling kind of guy. Is that fair to say?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think the thing about him is that he was actually like a highly touted prospect coming out of high school. He's a sophomore, from my understanding, but he had like a really bad freshman year, and so people became down on him. But then he bounced back his sophomore year, and he's just become like a true like number one option in college. And so I don't know. I mean, with your big man, you can't really like you never want your big man to be your main guy. Unless it's like the true Joel Embiid type. But
unless he's like a DeAndre Jordan type,
Yeah, or DeAndre Jordan type, the type where you trade better young players for him.
Exactly. You dump all your youth to keep him on at a bloated contract because he's friends with people.
You pay him 10 times what a equivalent player would get on the market.
Okay, I'm liking Jalen Smith a little more after hearing what you said about him. Now I got another guy who's been linked to the Nets a lot, Desmond Bane, 6'6" guard out of TCU. He's one of the rare NBA players who has a shorter wingspan than height. He has a 6'5" wingspan. It's similar to me in that, I mean, I'm not an NBA player, but I do have a shorter wingspan than height. So anyway, convince me that Desmond Bane, or where is Desmond Bane on your board?
Desmond Bane on my board is around like, let's say 20. I struggle with him a little bit because I think there's real potential there to be a star, but he to me, he's not going to, people keep comparing him to like Joe Harris, but I don't think he's going to be Joe Harris. He doesn't rise up high enough on a shot. He doesn't come off screens aggressive enough, in my opinion. But he does like sort of resemble Joe Harris in that he has this sort of like in between game where he pump fakes and then he drives and he dishes a little bit. So he's also a really good defender. So he's one of those guys. He's a senior, and I love seniors because I think they're undervalued. And so he's gonna come to the NBA and he's gonna be a rotation player right away. But I just don't think I don't know if he's going to be that Joe Harris coming off screens or if he's going to be more of a spot up shooter / secondary creator. And so that's why I'm not like clamoring for him, because if I'm looking for a shooter, I want a Joe Harris shooter. And I have a guy like that in this draft, but I have him much higher. And we could talk about him later.
Well, who is it?
It's Aaron Nesmith.
Oh, okay, that's the next guy I was going to have. So he's on the Kevin O'Connor big board, is 19th, 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan, can shoot the lights out. That's all I know. What else? Tell me more about Aaron Nesmith.
If you watch him play, the way he comes off screens is just so aggressive. He looks like JJ Redick right now. He's big. He's strong. So he's 6'6" and he has that 6'10" wingspan, like you said, but he also has like this real small forward frame where he's just, guys bounce off of him sometimes. And so I think with him, there's true star potential there as that, like, almost Klay Thompson light type of player. And again, in college, he was taking his sophomore season, he was taking 8 threes a game and making over 50% of them, which is just absurd. But unfortunately, it was only for 14 games that he did that because he got injured afterwards. So we need to know if that is a real number, if that's a, just sample size issue. But he's the type of guy, true star potential, in my opinion.
Wow. So where do you have him?
Yeah, I have him 9th.
9th. Okay. So all the guys we've talked about so far, Aaron Nesmith is at the top of your list.
Absolutely, because I just think that ability to come off screens is so valuable, and to do it with a true NBA body where you're not going to be a liability on defense, where you're going to be able to do other things. That's the reason I was so high on Cameron Johnson last year, is because he did it with an NBA body. And most of the time, you see these guys like Joe Harris has an NBA body, but he's definitely a 2. He's not going to be a 1. He's not really a 3. He's 100% a 2. JJ Redick is a 2. Like guys like that are 2. So what I'm looking for is a guy who is a 3 or maybe even a 4, big enough, strong enough to guard multiple different positions. And then on the offensive end, it is one of those guys where the whole defense is scrambling and chasing him around as he comes off screens and just totally blowing up their defensive coverage, like you saw Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero do for the Miami Heat this year in the finals. And so I think that he can do that, and then I think that he can come in and really develop this in between game because he is so aggressive, because he is so strong, where he has more of that. He has more shot creating ability, more of a driving ability that really screams star potential to me as a two-way player.
Nice.
Why do you think people are not as high on him, like Kevin O'Connor, as William said?
Me and Kevin O'Connor, if we were friends, we would have beef. I really like. I am personally offended by his big board.
I've heard a lot of people react like that.
I wouldn't say it's a fireable offense, but if I were Bill Simmons, I would definitely reassign him to a different field of basketball analysis. And so I guess that brings me to my biggest gripe with him is having Killian Hayes at number 1.
Yes.
I can't even fathom how anyone would look at Killian Hayes and think that guy is a guaranteed NBA player, and not even that, but think that guy is a guaranteed NBA player and worthy of the number 1 pick. It's just crazy to me. It's just crazy. To me, Killian Hayes, I have him. If I could be honest, I really had to do some soul searching because I was so repulsed by the Kevin O'Connor and the subsequent Twitter hype of these amateur draft analysts on Twitter just piling onto the Killian Hayes number 1 overall bandwagon.
Right.
I right now have him ranked 26th.
That would have him lower than anyone else we've talked about.
Yeah, I'm not a Killian Hayes guy. I think he's a poor man's D'Angelo Russell. He's D'Angelo Russell with all the D'Angelo Russell flaws and a much worse shot making ability. And so that's why I lost it when I saw that. I couldn't believe what I was looking at.
Well, you can't bring up D'Angelo Russell without interesting me a little bit.
But do you remember what it was like to watch D'Angelo Russell try to create his own shot and not get anywhere?
It was transcendent. I could watch him take mid-range floaters because he can't actually get to the basket or draw a foul for the rest of my basketball watching life.
Well, that's what Killian Hayes is going to be like, except D'Angelo Russell shot 41% from 3 in college, and Killian Hayes is out here in the French league shooting 29%, and Kevin O'Connor is falling over himself for Killian Hayes at number 1. I can't.
So, out of curiosity, who's your number 1?
My number 1 is James Wiseman.
James Wiseman, okay.
Wiseman.
Has. I saw some pictures of him recently, and he is jacked.
Oh yeah, no, he's a monster, and I think people, it's cool to say the center is done, centers are gone, and so people are like, I'm dropping James Wiseman. I see that's another one of my gripes with Kevin O'Connor. He had James Wiseman. At one point, I saw him mock James Wiseman outside of the top 10, and I was just like, oh my god, this is it's professional incompetence.
Simon, who's your number 1? Are you a LaMelo dude?
Yeah, that's who I would pick. You got to go big or go home. I don't really know anything about the people at the top. Speaking of people though who could have massive upside, you mentioned him before, James. I'm curious what your take is on Jaden McDaniels, because that to me is if we're not getting a Sadiq Bey or somebody who's an immediate plug-in and player, I would want to get somebody who has upside.
He definitely has upside. I like Jaden McDaniels. I don't know if he's as likely to reach his upside to me to justify taking him over guys who are maybe more guaranteed. But when you have a 6'10" guy that can really dribble like him, that can create shots like him, even though his shot is a little wonky, it's a little inconsistent, and his decision making is horrific. He takes these Spencer Dinwiddie fadeaway 3-point shot. Well, not 3-point shots, but he takes like Spencer Dinwiddie fadeaway mid ranges like at the end of the shot clock, but it's not the end of the shot clock.
Yeah.
Type shots. And I mean, you get a 6'10" guy that can move like him. If we took him at 19, I would not be upset at all.
Wait, where do you have him on your board?
I have him 21.
21, okay.
21. Yeah. Above Killian Hayes.
Above Killian Hayes, man.
See, I had to do. I want to like examine my personal biases against Killian Hayes and see if this is actually like me evaluating it or if this is just my disgust.
Right.
Like putting him down there.
It seems like it gave you D'Angelo Russell PTSD. It triggered that.
No, it did. It triggered that. And I never want to experience that again.
I mean, D'Angelo was the number 2 pick.
He was, but he produced at a level that was much higher than the level that Killian Hayes produced in France. And Killian Hayes, I saw this stat that Killian Hayes turned the ball over on 25% of his possessions. 25% of his possessions.
That is not a sustainable rate, I wouldn't say.
And look, I'm probably going to be wrong about this. Like, I think I've gone too far in the other direction. But I think it's 6 or 7 point guards over him that I would rather have.
Okay, here's a point guard.
And I truly mean that.
Here's a point guard that's been linked to the Nets that I'm curious what you think about. Malachi Flynn. 6 foot 1. 6 foot 1.
Mm-hmm.
Anything?
I don't have him in my top 30.
Okay.
He's a low ceiling guy to me.
Okay.
And I'm not interested in low ceiling guys who also can't touch the ceiling because he's 6 foot 1.
Right. So. because you're taller than them?
Yeah, basically. Even though I'm around 6 foot 1 myself. But still I can't justify taking a 6 foot 1 guy at this point in the draft unless like at 19 unless he has real potential, and I don't see it with Malachi Flynn. He's a decent floor general. Maybe he's going to come in and be a TJ McConnell, be a guy like a DJ Augustine who's he's going to run your backup unit and he's not going to turn over the ball horrifically, but he's just really not the high upside pick that I'm looking for.
Fair.
Okay.
2 other guys that have been linked to the Nets in the first round that I want your take on. 1, Josh Green, 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan. Can light it up, Arizona.
Yeah, I like Josh Green. I just don't see the star potential with him. Like if I see he's gonna come into the NBA, he's gonna be a good player immediately. I think his defense is a little bit overrated. I think his 3-point shot it's a little weird. Like his footwork on it is weird. His legs are like really splayed. Like when a giraffe bends down to drink some water. Right. That's what his 3-point shot looks like. But like it's like he's doing a squat.
You're not selling me on him here.
No, I'd take him if we were around like 27, but at 19 there's going to be guys there.
Right.
I don't want to take him when there's other guys available.
All right.
He's another one of those shooters where.
How about Leandro Balmaro?
No,
out. Fully out.
No, fully out.
Simon, I feel like you might like him. He's from Argentina, like our other stash. What's his name? Juan Pablo
Valle.
Juan Pablo Valle, yeah.
I don't know anything about him.
Oh, okay. Great.
He's a little weird. I'll take him with a second rounder, maybe but I don't know what I'm going to do with him when it comes into the NBA. It's just like, what is his role?
No, totally.
He's like
I don't know. I don't know anything about him really either.
He's an unathletic. He has NBA size. Doesn't have NBA athleticism. His shot isn't consistent. He has good playmaking skills, but again, he's playing with the local rec, and yeah, I don't buy it at this point. Not enough to invest in first rounder, personally.
Okay, so who is on your big board? Who is 19th?
19 on my big board is Patrick Williams, actually.
But now everyone's getting all worked up about Patrick Williams, aren't they?
They are. They really are. And
Is it just groupthink? What's happening here?
I don't know if it's groupthink. I think people are talking themselves into the idea of him as like a switchy 4, but he's just not that. He's not. He's going to be a guy that can't switch onto guards on defense. I think it's the opposite. People look at him, and he's gotten this reputation as like a versatile defender with the size, NBA size of a 4, of a power forward. But he's not a versatile defender. He'll get blown by, like Karis LeVert will blow by him, no doubt, without a doubt. Like,
yeah,
and
for all 17 games he plays.
Yeah. But those 17 games mean something.
Right.
But that's the thing. It's like, I mean, no. To put it in perspective, if he switched on to D'Angelo Russell, I would feel pretty confident about D'Angelo Russell getting to the record.
Oh, that is quite an indictment coming from you.
Yeah. I don't buy it, but the thought process behind him, he's being drafted purely because of his age, purely because he's the youngest player in the draft, and his age and his size and the idea of him as a stretch 4 that can switch if somehow he magically gains lateral quickness.
Do you think sorry, go ahead, Simon.
Oh, I was just going to say, do you find him similar to Cam Reddish in that people are very much into him because he has an NBA body and not necessarily a proven track record of being good?
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was good in college. I think that people are. I think he's a really big risk because there's a chance that he is just a defensive liability on switches. But Cam Reddish, I think Cam Reddish was different. Cam Reddish had like a tantalizing talent. He was a shot creator, 6'9", much quicker. I would have Cam Reddish much higher than Patrick Williams.
Right. I mean, Cam Reddish had a bad start to his rookie year, but ended up doing all right, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I'm not all the way out on Patrick Williams. Like, if we got Patrick Williams, I'd be happy. But also, if I had the 8th pick and Detroit took Patrick Williams at 7, I would be ecstatic.
Right. Simon, were there any other people linked to the Nets that you had questions about?
No, we hit on all of them.
James, who are some other people in that who you think might be in that range who you're interested in?
The guy that I'm really, really interested in for us is actually Tyler Bay. I really, really like Tyler Bay. I don't know if you guys have he's the Bizarro Bay. It's weird because I've never heard of the last name Bay, B-E-Y, until this draft, and there's 2 guys.
And there's 2.
There's 2 of them, and they both are like 6'7" wings. And so Tyler Bay was he's a little bit of a weird prospect because he sort of like played a lot in the dunker spot as in college, but he projects as a wing in the NBA. And so he didn't take many 3-pointers. He only took 1 3-pointer a game, but he made it at a 40% clip. But that's not why I'm interested in drafting him. The reason I'm interested in drafting him is because he was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year.
Ooh.
At 6'7", he's someone who can actually switch on the guards, not like Patrick Williams, where you're hoping and praying that he's going to switch on the guards. Tyler Bay is going to come in and switch on the guards on the regular. He's a shot blocker at 6'7". He's active in passing lanes. I think that he really could end up being an impact player day one on the defensive end. And again, with his height, with his crazy athleticism, he's going to be a lob target, so he can play in that dunker spot as a cutter. And his shot is his free throw percentage isn't bad. His 3-point shot, even though he only made 1 a game, was at 40%. And the shot looks good. So I think there's a good chance that he's going to turn into, that corner spot up shooter, but also a truly, truly like maybe all defensive player.
Yeah.
Type guy.
1.5 steals, 1.2 blocks, 9 rebounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And 29 minutes.
He's a monster. And a 7'1" wingspan for a podcast that loves wingspan.
Yeah, seriously. And he was born in Las Vegas, Nevada, which, hats off to you there. See, James, this is why we bring you on. These are the deep cuts. These are the hidden gems that you're not going to get on your Ringer and your athletic big boards. We need a Tyler.
Kevin O'Connor doesn't have him in the first round, and I'm just like, I can't. I understand not having him high in the first round, but but come on, Toronto is going to take him at 27 if he's still there. I don't think there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, and we need desperately some defense on this team.
Yes.
And I'd take him at 19, happily. I'd happily take him at 19. And I thought about actually, like, I think that, I know we shouldn't trade with the Celtics because of PTSD. But if the Celtics want to move up to 19 and give us 26 and 30, and I can reasonably assume that Tyler Bay is going to be there at 26, I'd do it.
Yeah, that's pretty intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be in. You've convinced me.
Yes,
I like
he's interesting.
I really like him. I think he's super underrated. I think if this was like 2010, he'd be in the lottery.
I love this guy.
Yeah, he's great.
Should we start the Bay Hive?
Yeah, I'm totally down to be a part of the Bay Hive. Oh my God! No, I'm telling you, if he's on Brooklyn, he's not going to be pulling a Rodions Kurucs playing once every 10 games. He's going to be getting minutes.
He's going to be in there. Well,
yeah.
As we know, all of the players that are associated in any of these mocks with the Nets will never actually be drafted by Sean Marks. Sean Marks is going to do some wild shit on draft night, and it seems like this might be the type of wild thing he could go for.
It would be really, really savvy. Really savvy. And then there's another guy. There's another guy that I have ranked similarly, and I think is also he could even be better on defense. And that's Paul Reed.
Okay.
Have you heard of Paul Reed?
James, pretend like I don't know who that is. Okay.
Okay.
Tell me.
I'm gonna pretend.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pretend.
Put on your drama hat and pretend for a minute.
So Paul Reed is a 6'9" physical specimen. From my understanding, he may have averaged 3.5 stocks or 4 stocks, steals and blocks per game. Defensive monster. Okay, and he's also really good at driving and finishing. So he may or may not be a center, but the reality is that if he is a center, he's going to be one of those centers where he can switch all the time and everywhere. So he's 6'9". I think he has a 7'2" wingspan. He's a shot blocker. He's really active in passing lanes. He locks up opposing players. The issue with him is his jump shot is just broken. It's like imagine if Michael Kidd-Gilchrist shot his jump shot, but at a regular angle.
Oh boy, he doesn't have that bad a free throw percentage.
That's the thing. That's what gives me hope on him. And I think that if you take his jump shot and you fix it, and all he can do is hit. All he has to do is hit corner threes, and then cut and catch these these high flying lob dunks. Suddenly, he's another guy that I think has all defensive team potential, and can be a positive on the offensive end at the power forward position, which is we always know we've been searching for a power forward for 6-7 years now.
Yeah, so. He you're right. He had average 4.5 stocks.
Yeah,
amazing. I'm fully in on this guy too.
That's my thought process. Is that I'm revealing my thought process now. Is that if I can take 19, move back to 26 and 30, and guarantee that I can get Tyler Bay and Paul Reed, I'm doing it.
I mean, those are the exact things that the type of players that this team needs.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and I'm really kind of shocked that they're in the second round. And someone who I really respect and enjoy reading his stuff, Sam Vecini from The Athletic. Yeah, huge fan. That's my favorite NBA writer.
Yeah, me too. I like his game theory. His podcast is really good.
Mm-hmm. I listen to that every day. He has him really, really low, but that's because he doesn't buy the jump shot and he thinks that he's a center. And I don't think that he's a center yet. He's only a center if the jump shot doesn't work, in my opinion.
Right. Hey, if you're getting 4.5 stocks a game, you can shoot however the hell you want.
Oh yeah, no, he's really, really, really good. Really, really, really good. And those are two guys that are they're not being talked about. But I can't imagine that NBA teams aren't talking about them. It's just the media.
Do you think there's a chance Paul Reed falls to our second pick at 55? No way.
No way.
Okay, I want to run through.
If they do, every GM should be fired.
I want to run through 4 guys who have been connected with us at 55. Let me know if any one of them is of any interest to you. Okay.
I probably know not a single one because I
Okay.
have not gone that deep.
Okay. Here. I don't. Okay. I'm just gonna read the names. Tell me
Go ahead,
if
Bill,
you
go
if
ahead.
you know or think anything about them. One, Kenyon Martin Jr. I'm
What I hear
listening
about
at
him
that.
is that he's a wing.
He's a wing.
I
Okay.
hear he's a wing. He's not a forward like his dad was. He's shorter than his dad, but he's still athletic.
All right. Well, and we've got a Kenyon tradition in Brooklyn.
I feel like with that namesake, if you're ranked that low, there's a problem.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so the other three are Marcus Howard of Marquette. He's 5'11". Josh Hall, he's a high schooler and somehow is allowed to enter the draft. And a guy named Nate Hinton. Anything?
Marcus Howard is known as like a lighted up type of 5'11" point guard, like Isaiah Thomas.
Right,
like,
but he's just
Carson
so
Edwards
small
was
that
last
he's
year.
not really getting
So
any.
small.
Yeah.
No, but if he's at 55, I'll take him.
Yeah, sure. What the hell? I love a spark plug. I'm all in on James. When it comes to the draft, what you like, I like now. Okay.
Yeah.
I've ceded all of my own personal opinions to you regarding the draft.
I appreciate that kind of trust.
Yeah, it's complete faith in you as a draft guru. Simon,
there's one more guy I want to talk about.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, anyone else?
One more guy I want to talk about that I have much higher than Kevin O'Connor has. Okay. I know that I've been talking about this man a lot, but it's just I couldn't disagree with him more. Obi Toppin.
Oh yeah, people love Obi. I mean, some people love Toppin.
Yeah, no, but he was the player of the year in basketball last year, in college last year. He was the best player. He led Dayton to a 29-2 record in college as their leading scorer and shot blocker, from my understanding. He is, in my opinion, the favorite for Rookie of the Year, without a doubt. Without a doubt. He's going to come in and he's immediately going to be one of the best pick and roll, pick and pop guys in the league on day one. And I think that if he was 19, he would be the number one pick, without a doubt.
Right. He just gets knocked because he's like a senior or no, he's only a sophomore. Yeah. He's a sophomore, but
he is a sophomore, but he's a really weird
22.
Yeah, he's a really weird, like older red shirt.
Did he take a couple gap years?
I think he took a gap. I think he couldn't get a college. So I think from my understanding, he's one of those guys who shot up like height wise, but when he was like 18. So I think if I remember correctly, he was like 6'4", 6'6" when he was 18. Shot up to 6'9". Didn't get any college admissions. Took a year off, went to a prep school, then went to Dayton. A bunch of weird things. Had an off freshman year, but then he won, Player of the Year last year. And I think that if we had a national tournament and he had the chance to do it on the big stage and to show everyone that he was the best player in college basketball last year, none of these clowns would have him at number 11 like Kevin O'Connor does. So
where is he on yours?
He's number 2.
Number 2? Holy shit. Where is, out of curiosity, where's old LaMelo fall?
LaMelo I have at 4.
And Anthony Edwards?
5.
So who's 3?
Mm-hmm. Okongwu.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Onyeka Okongwu, yeah.
So you're going bigs, top 3.
I am going bigs. I think that these guards are too risky. I think LaMelo is such a risk. I could never justify taking the number 1 pick and using LaMelo and just having him flame out of the league. Same with Anthony Edwards.
How good do you think LaMelo and D'Lo are going to be together?
I like LaMelo. Like, I don't want to trash LaMelo. I just think that there's safer picks and who have similarly high ceilings. Well, not similarly high. Like the ceiling for LaMelo is absurdly high, but they also have high ceilings. And I know that they're going to be NBA players. LaMelo, I don't know if he's going to be an NBA player. He might come into the league and pull Alonzo and shoot 29% from 3 for 3 years and just not be it.
Right. Okay, that was incredible, James. You've created out of thin air the Bay Hive. And for that, we are eternally grateful. One final thing I want to do while we still have you, and it's a little quiz for both you and Simon. It's a segment that is near and dear to Simon and my heart. It's called Assistant Coach Corner. Can either of you name all 8 Nets assistant coaches right now? You can work together on this.
Together, okay. So Mike
D'Antoni.
Uh-huh.
Ime Udoka.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Royal Ivy.
Royal Ivy's the new hire. Yep.
Adam Harrington.
Jacques Vaughn.
Jacques Vaughn.
Okay, so we're at 5, right?
Yeah, you got 3 more.
Amari Stoudemire.
Yep.
God.
I'd say one of them is gettable, and the last one is such a deep cut.
Is Jordan Ott one of them?
Yes, that's the deep cut.
Oh.
You got it. Nice.
Jordan Ott.
And then the last one is my favorite by far.
Who?
Tiago Splitter.
Oh, I can't believe I forgot. Yeah, I got Jordan Ott, but I didn't get Tiago.
Yeah, Jordan Ott.
Jordan Ott is the deepest assistant coach cut you can possibly get.
It's stacked, looking like Team USA.
I don't know how many assistant coaches are usually on a team. Is 8 a normal number?
I don't think so.
No, I don't know. I think it is. I think because they have like one of them is like the player development, one of them is the big man coach, one of them is the defensive, offensive.
Right.
I think it's. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean it's star-studded. It's star-studded. I bet you
Yeah.
at some practices the assistant coach squad could probably beat the second team on the Nets occasionally.
They could probably beat the 2016 Nets.
Oh, they would crush the 2016 Nets.
Especially if you took all of them, their 2016 selves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Amari Stoudemire would just dominate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on and doing the show.
Of course.
You completely blew it out of the water once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is an annual tradition we have to keep up.
Definitely.
And I can't wait till we can actually go to a game in Barclays and enjoy some secreted in sippers together. Nippers together.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean,
one day, maybe by like 2024.
Mm-hmm. But you heard that the Warriors are trying to do. They're trying to rapid test every single fan, and then do 50% capacity.
Yeah,
That'll
a full capacity.
50%.
Oh, 50%. 50%. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, because they realized that they lose more money without having fans than they would buying everyone a test.
Holy crap! I mean, I'd go to the game just to get a rapid test.
Right.
Yeah, I would go. I would absolutely go.
I think they'd invite the block to a game if they actually let fans in.
They definitely would. I think so.
I think how crappy was the watching those games as like the E fans or whatever we were in the stands?
Oh yeah, that was rough because I didn't see myself once.
I know, and the game is just like the stream was so bad. It was not a good experience. Okay, I gotta sign off of this podcast. Thank you again for coming. You can stay on the line for a sec, but we will go ahead and see ya next time. Bonus track. We wanted to just pop on real quick. Simon, what did we want to do?
Just talk about broad strokes, what we think is going to happen, because we are recording this on the eve of the trade deadline or trade moratorium lifting on Monday, the draft on Wednesday, and free agency on Friday. So the next time that we record, all of those things will have started, and I suspect that quite a lot of activity will have happened. So on the eve of that, I just sort of wanted to touch base on what we think is going to happen. We can compare that to reality next week.
Okay. What Nets do you think aren't going to be on the team?
I think that Spencer Dinwiddie is not going to be on the team, and I think that Jarrett Allen may not be on the team, and I think Taurean Prince will not be on the team.
I agree with all three of those, and I would add John and Musa.
Sure, okay.
Okay, and then draft picks. Are we drafting anyone in this year's draft?
I think we will be picking up our pick 55, and maybe getting. I don't know. It's not worth talking about. We just had a whole thing on this. We have no idea. And then I would just say my other broad stroke is I think that we will be picking up players that are defensive minded and 3-point shooting minded, and hopefully some wings. I do think we'll need some guard. Like if we ended up getting Pat Beverly or something, that totally makes sense. But I think we need wings. And then my last thing is that I hope at least one, maybe two, maybe more players are not just good at defense, but are have that goon mentality I've been jonesing for several years.
Okay, so name one person you think who's not on the Nets right now who will be on the Nets.
I think Pat Beverly is coming to the Nets.
Pat Beverly?
I do.
All right,
yeah.
I think Eric Bledsoe is coming to the Nets.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay, check back in next time to see if we know what the fuck we're talking about.